Good evening, boys and girls. Welcome to Candy's Cozy Couch. My name is Candace, and my nickname is Candy. That's how I came up with a really resilient name. At least I think it's pretty resilient. Yeah, my name withstands the test of time. But also the person in the story that I'll be reading about is very resilient as well. All right, boys and girls, hold on. Let me warm up my harmonica. It's time for the checklist. 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 Just like this. Woo, no. Okay, put it down, Candace. Put it down. All right, I'm putting it down. Woo, let's get to the checklist. Let's get to the checklist. Yes, I'm crowded on my couch, but not as crowded. My nephews will not be with me tonight, but that's okay. Catch them next time. All right, did you have a good night? Did you have a good dinner tonight is what I'm trying to say. Check. Stomach's all full. Mine is. Did you clean your room? I hope your room is clean. Clean your room, boys and girls. Check. Did you do your homework? And you know you need to do your homework. That's your practice. That makes you smarter and smarter and smarter. Check. Got a night light? Put your night light in. Get it ready. Because when all the main lights in the house go out, you're going to need a little beacon of light to help you make it to the bathroom without having an accident and go to the bathroom like you're supposed to. Check. Oh, let's see. Did you pick out your new outfits for tomorrow? Gotta be ready for the next day. If you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. Check. Did you take your bath or your shower? Are you fresh and clean and all relaxed? Your body feeling all good? Check. What about PJs? I got on my PJs. It's pink tonight. It's pink tonight. Oh, these cuddle buddies. So many of them. It's pink tonight. Check. Ooh, let's see. Did you brush your teeth? I hope you brushed your teeth because you got to have your teeth in order. You got to get that good dentist report where the dentist is thumbs up and so proud of you for taking care of your teeth. So brush your teeth. Check. Brush your hair too. Comb your hair. Tie up your hair. Put rubber bands in your hair. Barrettes. No, not barrettes. You don't want to have too much hard stuff in your hair for the girls. Tie it up. Wrap it up. Wear a nightcap. Whatever you need to do for your hair. Do that before you go to bed. Check. Let's see. What else? What else? Did you give your I love yous, hugs, kisses, and smooches to your family and the pets that live in your house and any friends that might be visiting for a sleepover or that you love? Check. Ooh, let's see. What else? Oh, I'm trying to think. I think I covered pretty much everything. So then I need to say, did you say your prayers? I hope you said your prayers, because if you haven't said your prayers, make sure you do it before you drift off to dreamland. You know how that goes. Check. Let's get down to the story. Oh, I got to get comfortable for this one. This one is a picture book of George Washington Carver, by David A. Adler, and is illustrated by Dan Brown. Bam. Look at that. It's going down. Too much on the back to even speak about. It's about to be a long-winded story. Probably my longest yet. A picture book of George Washington Carver. Bam. But stick around, boys and girls, because it's Black History Month. This is an interesting guy right here. George Washington Carver was born a slave. He was never sure of his birth date, just that it was in 1864 or early 1865, near the end of the Civil War. He was born on the Missouri farm of Moses and Susan Carver, where his mother Mary was a slave. Okay. So, you know, slavery, unfortunately, was a big component of Black history. George hardly knew his mother. When he was an infant, raiders kidnapped him and his mother and took them to Arkansas. A neighbor found George and brought him home, but he didn't find Mary. Young George Washington Carver never saw her again. That's so terrible. George's father was a slave too, but George never met him. His father worked on a neighbor's farm and was killed in an accident around the time George was born. Boo. George and his brother James were raised by Moses and Susan Carver. The Carvers were good to the boys. George called Mr. Carver Uncle Moses. And here we go, 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 here we go. My dog, he trying to run away. George was not a strong boy. He wrote later that his body was in constant warfare between life and death. The Carvers did not make him work hard on the farm. He fed the animals and helped Susan Carver around the house. He had plenty of time to swim and explore the nearby woods. George had his own little garden. He wrote later, "I wanted to know every strange stone, flower, insect, bird, or beast, and many are the tears I have shed because I would break the roots of flowers off some of those pets." But he hid his garden in the brush because it was considered foolishness in the neighborhood to waste time on flowers. And that is so unfortunate because flowers is such beautiful creation of God. Such a beautiful creation. The Carvers wanted him educated the same as white children. They taught me to read, spell, and write just a little. George needed to know more. The only book was a Webster elementary spelling book. He read it so often he knew it by heart. But that book had few answers for him. When George was 12, he went to a school for African American children in nearby Neosho. There he lived with Mariah and Andrew Watkins, a black couple. He paid for his room and food by helping around the house. So he was responsible. He lived up to his responsibilities. He paid where he needed to pay. He wasn't even a freeloader. Go ahead, George. Do that. His Aunt Mariah was a nurse. George learned from her which plants and herbs cured illnesses. She also taught him the value of time. Even during school recess, he had to run home to help Mariah with her laundry, or with the laundry. There was no time for play. The teacher in the Neosho school did not know much more than George. After less than a year there, George felt he needed to move on. He found a family on its way to Fort Scott, Kansas, almost 100 miles away, and he hitched a ride. So George was very resilient. He didn't even play. He was like, yo, I gotta move on. This teacher don't know as much as I know barely. Time for me to elevate myself. And that's exactly what he did. In Fort Scott, George went to school, worked in a nearby grocery, and did laundry for people staying at the Wilder House, a hotel. He lived with a blacksmith and his family and helped out there too. In March 1879 in Fort Scott, a mob of masked white men pulled a black prisoner out of jail, tied him with a rope, and dragged him for 5 blocks. The prisoner was hanged and later burned. George Washington Carver witnessed that lynching and quickly left Fort Scott. The ugly memory of that night haunted George the rest of his life. And then I imagine that it would. It haunted me just reading it just now. Because no one should ever have to go through that. And unfortunately, a lot of people in history have gone through lynchings, and that's kind of sad. He went to Olathe, Kansas. From there, he went to Paola, Kansas, and then to Minneapolis, Kansas, where he graduated from high school. Carver still had what he called the thirst for knowledge. In 1885, he applied for mail and was accepted to Highland University. But when he arrived to begin his studies, he was told that he could not attend the school because he was black, just because of his skin color. So petty. So petty. We have had to deal with so much pettiness. It's so unfortunate. George Washington Carver changed his plans. He became a farmer and bought land further west. He built a one-room sod house with walls made of thick chunks of grassy dirt and a roof made of tar, paper, and dirt. He planted vegetables, studied art, and made friends. But he became restless. He still had his thirst to learn. Carver traveled east to Iowa, and in September 1890 he enrolled in Simpson College. He was the school's first African American student. He studied art there, but soon realized he could do more for his people working with plants. He transferred to Iowa State College, where he studied agriculture. Now we're getting into the deep root of what George Washington Carver was all about. At Iowa State, Carver joined debating German and art clubs. He became a trainer for the school's football team and held prayer meetings. God and religion were always important to him. When he studied nature, he felt he was getting closer to God by learning more about his creations. George Washington Carver graduated from Iowa State in 1894 and became the school's first African American teacher. He also continued his studies. By 1896, he had earned a Master of Science degree. Boy, is this a smart man or what? A smart black man that we are reading about right now. Do you guys see that? Oh my goodness. We are doing something tonight. In 1896, Booker T. Washington, one of the most respected African Americans of that time, asked Carver to join him at the Tuskegee Institute in Alabama. The school was established in 1881 to train African Americans for work, and George Washington Carver became the head of its Department of Agriculture. He lived and worked there the rest of his life. Carver was devoted to improving the lives of Southerners, especially African Americans. Most of them were cotton farmers. Constant cotton planting ruined the soil, and in some years, entire crops were destroyed by boll weevils, small beetles that left their eggs in cotton flower beds. Carver was determined to find other crops that would grow well in the South and could support Southern farmers. So he was already on point, already trying to figure out what could he do. You guys see that? Man, this is pretty awesome. Carver found that peanuts and sweet potatoes improved the land and were not threatened by boll weevils. He called them two of the greatest products God has given us. He knew Americans would not eat as many peanuts and sweet potatoes as Southern farmers could grow, so he looked for new use for them. In the laboratory, Carver separated the fats, gum, sugars, starches, and other chemical parts of the peanuts. He worked with these components and found some 300 different peanut byproducts, including peanut milk, flour, cheese, candy, ice cream, butter, shampoo, face cream, glue, wood, stain, and ink. He even discovered that rubbing a certain kind of peanut oil onto the skin was helpful in treating polio, a crippling disease that often afflicted children. So he found lots of usage of the peanut. Go ahead, George Washington Carver, do your thing. Well, he did his thing. He certainly did. He found he could make more than 100 useful products from sweet potatoes, including flour, syrup, starch, a coffee-like drink, molasses, glue, vinegar, alcohol, and synthetic rubber. George Washington Carver loved his work. He said, "Know science, and science shall set you free, because science is truth." Carver believed his discoveries came as a direct message from God and refused to accept any money for them. Sometimes he did not even cash his paychecks from Tuskegee. The great inventor Thomas Alva Edison offered Carver a huge salary to work for him, but Carver refused. He wanted to work only for the good of his people, African Americans. Good job, George. Way to put the foot down. Way to do what you love doing and have a passion for, and recognize the purpose behind what you were doing. Most people do not get that at all. George Washington Carver believed in the goodness of all people, that we are brothers, all of us. He felt that successful blacks, such as himself, should be models for others who together would transform the race in the eyes of the world. Carver liked to say, "Save everything. From what you have, make what you want." In 1941, he displayed his handcrafts made of seeds, peanuts, and chicken feathers. Also in the Tuskegee exhibit were 71 of his paintings, many done with paints he made from vegetables, magnolias, and Alabama clay. Time magazine, in its review of the exhibit, called Carver the Black Leonardo, a reference to Leonardo da Vinci, a genius in many fields. So he really went big with it, didn't he? He really did go big with his inventions and his discoveries. Awesome job. George Washington Carver won many awards for his work. In 1923, the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People gave him the Springer Medal. In 1939, he was given the Theodore Roosevelt Medal for distinguished research in agriculture chemistry. George Washington Carver died on January 5th, 1943, at Tuskegee Institute. People from all over the world mourn his death, and we should still mourn him through today, because he did so much. We should honor him. We don't have to mourn him at this point. We can honor him and give him credit where his credit is due. And that is the end. Well, I thought I was going to keep reading on and on and on and on with this story. Man, he did some awesome work. Well, we'll never think about the peanut the same again, huh? In agriculture, farming. Boys and girls, listen. Let's get ready to go into dreamland and let's think about this. Maybe you dream that you're a farmer, whatever your farmer name. Old Candy had a farm, E-I-E-I-O, and on my farm I had cotton candy, E-I-E-I-O. I'm just kidding. You can go to dreamland, dream whatever you want. Don't mind me. You simply just need to close your eyes. Ooh. Whisper to yourself what you would like to dream about. Now, if you share a room with a sibling, don't whisper too loud. You tell your dreams, they're going to steal them from you. So whisper to yourself. The whispering is a calming mechanism to help you relax. Let your body just go limp. Let it just accept its environment and be safe in your bed and know that nothing's going to go wrong, nothing's going to happen, that you're going to get a good night's sleep and be well rested when you wake up. But you close your eyes, whisper to yourself what you would like to dream about, and allow your body to drift off into dreamland. Okay, boys and girls, get to it, because you could be awesome like George Washington Carver. All right, I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.